Yes, hi, and welcome to the Dark Knight Conspiracies, episode 26. Russia hacks USA, Cyber Dawn activated. Now, before we get into all this, folks, we all have seen the news the last couple of days about these major cyber attacks, breaches, nuclear codes, companies, businesses. Basically, they hacked everything. Now, we're also coming to find out that this has been going on for the last 9 months. And I find it hard to believe that Trump and his people did not know about this and didn't have contingency plans. And we'll get back into this later on in the show. But what I wanted to start with is a lot of chatter on several channels, and they're all pointing to their intel, and their sources are telling them Trump's not going to make any major moves until January. Some say that's too late. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But we're all pointing to a specific date. Somehow January 13th is the key date. So I decided to do some digging on the keyboard, and I pulled up posts from January 13th of 2018. So the first one was SEC test. Then we got Big News Week. Future proofs past. What news was unlocked? Do you believe in coincidences? Uranium One. Public disclosure. DEF CON. Shall we play a game? And you can go to the Quag News site for yourself. I can't post a link. It's up here. And you can look at these posts because there's quite a few talking about Democrats shutting down the government. What happens to the military? Well, we're seeing that going on right now with the stimulus package. They're stalling to get the funding through 2021. I wonder if this is coincidence. And this one is a lengthy one. And no escape, no deals, treason, foreign agents within our government, highest levels. Puppet masters have been removed. Vehicles at delivery removed. Strings cut. Seventh floor is no more, and that's referring to the FBI. We see all, we hear all. The hunt continues. Prison, death. A lot of these posts are about military operations and fighting. The Patriots sticking together. Here's another one. Not everything will be clean. Scare, necessary event. Do you trust the military? Do you trust the chain of command? Have faith. We're in control. We were chosen for a reason. Now, I believe that's a biblical reference. And then here you can see post 522. These are all military terms. What's interesting is as the world turns, most people don't know that this is where Walter Cronkite, during As the World Turns soap opera, interrupted with the assassination of JFK. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. Not sure if it's relevant. You see 523, checkmate. And again, you can go through all these posts from 113, and there's quite a few. Flight reroutes, power out, targeted kills, people running, public awakening, goodbye Jack. And that's referring to our good buddy Jack Dorsey over at Twitter. And you get Monday, next week bigger, public, we listened. Now 4060 reference has been cited as we would get 40% disclosure out of 100%, meaning the 60% as a society we wouldn't be able to handle. This is how devastating some of this stuff supposedly is. I don't know. It's my opinion, as I always state. These are my opinions and my opinions only. So a lot of interesting things. And in this one, be ready. Mainstream media coming. Big way. Fight, fight, fight. Mainstream media's lost control. Hello, George. And that's referring to George Soros. And of course, this one, you and your families are safe. Promise. Now, we all know promises made, promises kept. But I still think there might be some casualties of war. And then the last one is obviously a picture of a chessboard, and this is the famous game, and I can't remember exactly who the players were, where checkmate was instituted. And Q does a lot of research. I'm sorry, I just didn't have enough time to research this chessboard. I'll try and get back to it. So then that got me to when Q started, post 35, before Q put his name on anything, they were just anonymous posts. This was November 1st. And it says, POTUS will be well insulated, protected on Air Force One and abroad. Specific locations classified. While these operations are conducted due to the nature of the entrenchment, it is time to take our country and make America great again. Then it goes on, as you know, you can read it for yourself. And then it talks about all the primary targets are within DC, both sides. And the spillover in the streets will be quickly shut down. And it's telling everybody, stay alert, stay vigilant. And then it ends with, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. Love is patient, love is kind. Now, the first part of this, ending with eternal life, is John 3:16. So, of course, you can add up the numbers, 3 and 16. 19th, maybe January 19th is a key date. I don't know. But this one is what got me interested in this January 13th date. Love is patient, love is kind. God bless my fellow Americans, signed 4/10/20. Now, if you put the letters of the alphabet, this is DJT, Donald J. Trump. So I did some research into the Bible of this line of love is patient, love is kind. What I came up with was 1 Corinthians 13, January 13th. And in verse 4, love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. So I thought this was interesting. That somehow this January 13th could be a possible key date. And again, nothing is etched in stone. Things happen, and as I've said, an action requires a reaction. So these timetables are not etched in stone, but everybody seems to be leading to January 13th as to where stuff really begins to happen. Now, Friday, Lou Dobbs had General Flynn on. And I'll leave the links so you can listen to the interview himself. And he made an interesting comment. Other countries had their intelligence agencies monitoring our election, willing to share with the president. Rumors are this has already happened. Now, what other countries are there? Well, let's not forget Five Eyes. My estimate would be Britain and Australia were also hacked into these systems and got all the same data that the White Hats got, which would add more of a level of proof. It's one thing when people are going to come out and call, Donald Trump, this is all fake news. But now when you got other countries joining in and supplying their information, this is going to get interesting, folks. This is going to get real interesting. And this goes back to the magician has been hard at work lately. And I referred to, while the magician is doing something with the left hand, nobody's watching what the right hand is doing. So while Trump has had us focused on this stuff that's been going on, because I can't say it, because I'll get this episode taken down. That people have been focused on this, and now all of a sudden this week we come and find out about Russia has hacked us. Our military, our infrastructure is at serious risk now. And that there's no way they can get this malware out of our computer systems. And that they basically need to be just stripped and torn to the ground. I'm 50-50 with this. I mean, for 4 years we heard about Russia. The deep state is awful eager to get us involved in a world war with Russia. And we saw with the DNC hack with Seth Rich, information came out back then, and do your research, I'm sure you can find it, that the software, these tools for hacking that were developed were capable of leaving a footprint of any foreign nation that they wanted to. So I caused people to have a lot of skepticism about what you're hearing, because my personal belief, I believe Putin's been working with Trump since he took office. And what country would stand to benefit from us getting into a nuclear war with Russia? Oh, I don't know. General Tao's chicken comes to mind. Egg Foo Young comes to mind. Very good dishes, by the way. So Trump's got a lot of cards to play here, and this is all starting to shape up, and we're starting to see. I've seen some reports now that the DNI Ratcliffe report, which a lot of people got frustrated with that it didn't come out on Friday. Well, come to find out, this report of, well, it's not going to be available till January, the way I understand it, that's the public version. Sources, other sites are speculating that DNI Ratcliffe has already briefed the president on this and giving this bombshell now with Flynn coming out and saying other countries are sharing information with us. And then we had the Chris Miller, head of the DOD, show up at the White House at 3:30 yesterday. This is getting pretty serious, folks. And Trump's got some cards to play here. He's got the Insurrection Act. He's got Executive Order 13848. And then he's got the big one. And now this could be the Trump card. So what the Insurrection Act and Executive Order 13848 would do would be if there's foreign interference in our election and we have been infiltrated from within, this would give the military the means and the needs to start rounding these people up as traitors. It also gives the president the ability to seize assets from these individuals. Now, what's interesting about that? Well, who owns Hollywood? You want to talk about destroying all these liberal actors that are out there running their mouth, the Rob Meathead Reiners of the world? And also all the real estate that this company owns within this United States. This would cripple them economically and would definitely probably warrant some kind of retaliation, which we're already seeing it. They're cyber hacking us. And sources are out there, sites are out there stating that there's a possibility that these hacks have negated our ability in case we were, let's say, attacked by a missile threat, that our ability to retaliate would be shut down. Again, I can't verify that. These are just opinions. These are just what some sites are reporting. These are all, how do you call it, war game scenarios. So we'll have to see how this plays out, and what we'll have to see what cards Trump's going to play here. He's obviously got options. And I do believe, I'm starting to believe the January 13th story, because I think we all know the January 6th vote, while there might be some drama, we all know how that's going to go. But what's interesting about that is they will all have to individually, the Congress will all have to individually vote to ratify this election. They would be certifying their treason with Joe Biden. Now, part of Ratcliffe's report was supposed to contain, and I do believe this is pretty logical, that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were going to be designated as national security threats. And if that were to happen, this definitely would throw January 20th into quite turmoil. But what's also interesting, the third card Trump can play, and this is why I think I'm not worried about Joe Biden getting inaugurated. If this is true, that we've been hacked by a foreign country, our military installations and our infrastructure have been hacked, our November 3rd situation was hacked, Trump most definitely could announce we're at war, which would throw the inauguration right out the window. No different than what FDR did. If there's a declared war with a foreign nation, the president cannot step down or be replaced until the end result of that war. That's why FDR had as many terms as he did, because he acted under the guise that we were at war. So then this article comes out, and this is interesting. And if you recall on a previous episode, Donald Trump listed a executive order with succession of the DoD, Department of Defense. And out of the lengthy list of names, there was one name that wasn't on there, and it was General Milley, part of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the four military branches that report to the president. So we get this statement: Army leaders join General Milley and release statement saying there's no role for the U.S. Army in martial law in determining elections. And this was after Flynn was on Newsmax and basically just brought up that this was an option that Trump had, that he could use the military and declare martial law in the 6 swing states and basically confiscate all the machines and redo the elections. I don't see that happening. But it's just funny. So now we're seeing, and this has been rumored for a long time, okay, there's infighting going on within the military. Well, now we're seeing that the Army is not behind Trump. Well, we know who is behind Trump. It's Special Ops, and it's the Marines, and it's Space Force. Now, most people thought Space Force was for some supposed alien invasion, and who knows, that might be what the purpose was. But I think there's a reason Trump was pushing this Space Force. Let's say that, the Russia hacks did dismantle our defense capabilities. Well, what if he instituted this Space Force that was separate from the rest of the military in terms of computers, nuclear codes? What if he somehow transferred all that to the Space Force? And basically, all these hacks, all they got was a bunch of garbage. Just throwing it out there. Trump's not stupid. I don't think he got caught with his pants down with this hacks, but I think he's dropping the crumbs. He's getting people used to the idea of what's coming. Again, we don't know. We're operating on his timeline, not ours. We're also operating on God's timeline, not ours. So we'll have to see how this all plays out. But it's getting heated up. Things are happening, folks. Things are happening. So then we get this report. Trump met with Sidney Powell and General Flynn in the Oval Office. Now, I want to point this out for the people that saw Newsmax the night General Flynn was on. Also had Patrick Byrne, the man who created Overstock, who no longer is CEO of Overstock. What's interesting about their interviews is they both had the same backdrop of curtains. It doesn't take a detective to know those two guys were together that night, and probably many others, and I'm guessing Sidney Powell was another one. Now, what's interesting about this article is supposedly there was this big meeting, and Sidney Powell was discussed as a special counsel prosecutor for Hunter Biden and what went on November 3rd. Now, what's interesting about this, I don't think this is plausible right now, given the optics. But what would be interesting about this, given all the brick walls she's hitting with all these lawsuits, if she was to be named a special counsel, now she can prosecute. And in every single state in the U.S., she could go after these judges. She could go after, hello, Mr. John Epstein Island Roberts. I think it's interesting that this popped up. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But a lot of breaking news. This stuff's going to drip out on a daily basis now. Again, Trump's got cards to play. I believe he has his timeline set. I also believe some things can come up that may disrupt that timeline, and he may be forced to act sooner rather than later. But I do believe he is going to declare war on a foreign nation within the immediate future. Everything is just leading up to that. And that would give him total power to arrest. This would be all your mass arrests that could take place. Because it ain't going to go through the court system, folks. He's shown us how corrupt, all the way up to the Supreme Court. This stuff is not going to it's going to get done through military tribunals. So let's just have a little more patience. Let's have a little more faith and see how this plays out. And if nothing happens by January 20th, then I guess I'll be shutting this channel down and I'll have a lot of egg on my face. But until then, stay strong, stay safe, stay vigilant. Until next time, same bat time, same bat channel. Good night, everybody.